Hunting season is almost here, and Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has been looking back at last year's season.
Yeah, new this morning in This Week in Fish and Wildlife, we talk about what FWP, the forecast for the coming hunting season.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife, sponsored by your local Montana Toyota dealers.
Thursday morning time once again for This Week in Fish and Wildlife. We're at Region 3 headquarters. Joining us again this morning, Morgan Jacobson. Morgan, we're getting close to hunters or hunting season, and I know Fish, Wildlife, and Parks takes a great deal of time to look at hunting season is about populations and it's about management and those kind of things. I know you look back to kind of look ahead. What are some of those things that we're looking at as we're looking towards the hunting season for 2019-2020?
Yeah, so you know, a lot of hunting is affected by weather, right? Mm-hmm. And so some of that depends on migrations, some of that affects animal survival and mortality, things like that. And so you know, just some general things for hunters to keep in mind this season as we approach hunting season is you know, we did have a pretty tough winter last winter. You know, it did kind of extend into March, April kind of time period. So that made it tough for some fawn and calf survival in certain hunting districts. And so we just want hunters to keep that in mind. You know, it might be different than it's been in the past, but you know, every year is different. So you know, some other things to keep in mind this fall and with every year is weather drives those migrations. And so if we don't get snow until, if it plays out kind of like last year, it might be a little bit harder because animals haven't started moving around a bit. So you know, if you're looking at traveling to go to a hunting district across the state or anything, keep an eye on the weather. If it's going to be dry, there's a chance that things might not be moving yet, and it'll be a little bit tougher.
Yeah, last year was kind of interesting. I mean, October, November, some of that, we had some 40 and 50 degree days, and then when those calves and fawns are coming on there in the early spring, we had that really wicked weather. All of that plays a role in hunting season for this year, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And it'll play a role in hunting seasons in the years to come, too. And so, you know, every year's different, like I said. And so, you know, this year, just keep that in mind. You know, as weather progresses, as winter progresses, we start to see animals come down from higher elevations. When they reach those lower elevations in the valleys, that's kind of when they tend to be more on private land. So if you're hunting in the later part of the season and there's a lot of weather, you might have to keep that in mind, that a lot of these animals, especially elk and whitetails, will be on private land. So we have a lot of great programs to kind of facilitate hunter access, like our block management program is a great opportunity for people to access private lands that would otherwise be unavailable to hunters. And so, you know, other things are happening. For example, down in Dillon, the Bureau of Land Management and the Forest Service and us are working together to kind of sign roads differently than they have been in the past. So that's another thing to keep in mind is look at your travel routes. Look and see, make sure the routes you want to take are open roads, and you can contact a local land management office to be aware of that.
Morgan Jacobson joining us this morning at Region 3 headquarters as we start to look forward to the hunting season. Morgan, thank you very much. And that's This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife was brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.